I didn't receive the intended text message, which revealed my husband's affair with my best friend. I am Bethany. Until 3 minutes ago, I believed I had a successful business partnership. An affectionate marriage lasting 8 years and a close-knit group of friends is remarkable. A single erroneous message might undermine all your convictions. Apologies, my dear. Had to feign working late once more. Beth accepted it as usual. I will see you at our location in 30 minutes. My hands trembled as I prepared. Amir's phone was on his desk, where he had left it while showering. Likely confident that I would not snoop. I was not prying, I only picked it up when it incessantly buzzed with notifications as the lavatory door clicked. I compelled myself to breathe steadily, while perusing an arbitrary document. As air entered our home office, my laptop came into view. "Hey, love," he said, kissing the top, while working late again. The irony caused my stomach to churn while I completed several tasks. I oversaw the contracts. "Are you leaving for an emergency meeting with Samuel regarding the Morrison?" recounted how the lie slipped from his lips effortlessly. "Do not wait for me," I observed. He seized his phone. My thoughts racing, it had to be Vada. The fragments falling into place. The pieces were coming together, the late meetings, the business excursions, the way they looked at each other during corporate events. As soon as his car left the driveway, I reached out to Quinn, expressing my need for help. "Come over immediately, what is troubling you?" Quinn's voice became tense with worry. "Just come." 20 minutes later, we were seated in my kitchen with a bottle of wine between us. I displayed to her the text I had captured with my phone that depicted the hissing snake. "Quinn, I will eliminate them both." "No," I stated, astonished at the steadiness of my voice. I retrieved my laptop and accessed our company's operating agreement from 3 years ago. Amir Vaj and I had amalgamated our enterprises, incorporating a phrase that appeared negligible at the time if any partner participated in actions detrimental to the company's reputation, which may lead to their shares being forcibly acquired at a predetermined value. "Observe this," I demonstrated it to Quinn. "They believe they are being astute by covertly maneuvering behind my back. Yet they remain oblivious." "What is forthcoming? What are your plans?" "I have reviewed our company's financials. I must first consult with Samuel, who has been managing our money. It is likely that he possesses more knowledge than he is revealing." "Samuel? Can you place your trust in him? He has been attempting to caution me for weeks regarding those casual discussions about irregularities. Expenses indicate that I should examine the records more closely, as I was previously oblivious to them." My phone vibrated with a text from Allison, Amir's sister. "Regarding dinner this weekend, I have not seen you in a long time. Allison has always been more closely associated with me than with her own brother. She would be grieved upon discovering the truth. But for the moment, she could be an unknowing source of knowledge." I informed Quinn that I would feign ignorance. "They believe they are succeeding, while I will be meticulously documenting all the affairs and the dubious financial activities." Quinn leaned forward regarding all the transactions, and I smiled in response. Seemed more like baring my fangs. "They are hosting that absurd party next. Proceed in the manner they anticipate." Beth Quinn hesitated. "Are you?" "Indeed. You may face them, initiate a divorce, and depart." I expressed my disbelief. "They are not merely attempting to embarrass me, Quinn, they are endeavoring to dismantle everything I have established, including my firm. My reputation is significant to my existence." I inhaled deeply. "I will not allow them to affect me." My phone vibrated once again. "Amir's meeting is running late, do not wait up." "I love you," I swiftly replied. "No problem. There is an issue. Honey, please take your time." Quinn arched an eyebrow, signaling your intimidating demeanor. "You are scheming revenge." I clarified that I am not. By closing my laptop, I am guaranteeing that karma arrives punctually. As Quinn departed that night, I stood in my vacant residence, experiencing an unusual sense of tranquility amidst the initial shock. And agony persisted, however. They had been overshadowed by a more formidable force. Amir and Vada, in their arrogance, believed themselves astute while engaging in their trivial games. Oblivious to the impending consequences, they failed to understand a crucial lesson: never underestimate a woman who has nothing left to lose. I retrieved my phone, and I texted Samuel that we need to converse tomorrow at 7 a.m. He typically visits the coffee shop alone. The response was immediate: I had been anticipating this conversation. Samuel was already present. Upon my arrival at the coffee establishment, 2 steaming cups were positioned on the table. As is customary, his clean suit appeared creased, as though he had slumbered in it. "You look dreadful," I remarked, sliding onto the seat opposite him. He had been awake all night examining the literature. He shoved a packet near me. "You finally saw the communications. How long have you been aware?" He has been contemplating the financial matter for approximately 3 months now. Recently, I opened the folder and was taken aback by page after page of dubious content. Vada approved all transactions, each just below the threshold requiring my signature. They have been transferring funds to a different account. Samuel elucidated minor increments, which cumulatively total over $500,000 thus far. Present all information for the upcoming hour. Samuel elucidated their plan to me, while I concentrated on expanding our client base. Vada steadily undermined our financial soundness. Amir had offered a diversion by fabricating emergencies while she manipulated my phone. Quinn, feeling excited, instructed me to switch to channel 7 as I retrieved my tablet, and Samuel leaned in. I watched an interview with Vada discussing women in business. Irony might have been amusing if it were not so exasperating and, at times, the most challenging. It is essential to recognize when to withdraw. V said that her rehearsed smile was ideal for this situation. Some individuals are simply not suited for leadership, Samuel said beneath his breath. They are preparing for the celebration next month, intending to compel your removal publicly. I am aware that I closed the folder, but they erred. What is that error? I forgot who imparted all their business knowledge to them. I retrieved my folder to recall the merger agreement. He was astonished as he read the reputation you assisted in drafting 3 years ago. However, can you substantiate the affair more effectively? I presented my phone as evidence. A banking application that can substantiate the misappropriation. Quinn has been monitoring their private accounts, which have been negligently managed. Jesus, Beth. He appeared impressed. You have been industrious. I studied from the finest. Recall the hostile takeover case you managed last year? He smiled. The one where we apprehended the CEO with his own documentation. I concluded. My phone buzzed again. Amir mentioned lunch today. I miss you. I showed Samuel the message. They believe they are astute. What is your subsequent action? First, I must consult with Allison. She manages her own investments, albeit unknowingly assisting them in concealing funds. Exercise caution. Samuel cautioned, a single misstep could reveal your awareness of their actions. Trust. They will not suspect anything. I stood up. I have lunch with my beloved hubby. Upon arrival at the restaurant, Amir was already present, appearing impeccably groomed, clad in his fancy suit. His appearance unsettled me, although I maintained a grin. As I took my seat, I apologized for my tardiness. Dear, I was occupied with Samuel studying some matters. Amir's fork halted midway to his mouth. Sam inquired. What contracts? I merely dismissed the ordinary matters. In fact, I intended to discuss the Vada indicated a desire to make an announcement at the party next month. His voice was deliberately bland. I had not heard him. I took a sip of water. I am contemplating making an announcement of my own. What type of announcement? It is a surprise. I smiled affectionately. I believe everyone will be intrigued, for a brief period. I perceived apprehension. A flash appeared in his eyes, followed by the buzzing of his phone. Without needing to glance at the screen, I recognized the caller as work. I said innocently. Yeah. Sorry. He was already waiting for a rain check on lunch. This is crucial. Of course. Dear.
Convey my regards to Vada. He momentarily froze before regaining composure.
What prompts your inquiry? I suspect it is Vada, it is merely a conjecture. But she consistently appears to require your immediate attention lately,
I observed.
He hastily departed. Then I retrieved my phone to message Quinn. They are in a state of panic. Phase 2, Quinn responded promptly,
stating that Allison anticipates your arrival at 3.
I am uncertain about what lies ahead. I collected my belongings and left cash for others who have not yet been served. In 3 weeks. During lunch, they would attempt to dismantle everything I had constructed. They believed they were the predators, but they were soon to discover they were, in fact, the prey. My phone buzzed once. Samuel has discovered additional information in the books that will be of interest to you. I grinned as the parts fell into place seamlessly at moments.
Kara requires assistance in maintaining her routine, and I was more than willing to help. Allison's penthouse office had the breathtaking vista of the city that typically captivated me was largely unnoticed today.
She was leaned over her desk,
surrounded by financial portfolios,
including those she managed for Amir.
Vada Beth leapt up to embrace me, expressing her need and inquiring about my well-being.
Amidst the company's turmoil, I maintained a deliberately impartial tone.
Amir indicated that you may be withdrawing soon, yet.
She appeared displeased.
He was inexplicably ambiguous about it. It is the reason for my presence.
I took a seat and extracted.
I require your expertise on the materials Samuel provided me. Naturally.
What are sisters for?
She radiated joy,
reminding me of the impending pain. Allison had always been that way. Allison treated me more like family than I had experienced in any previous transaction. She examined the papers strewn on her desk, her expression contemplative.
What is your assessment of them? I am becoming increasingly concerned. These are from accounts I oversee.
However,
I did not authorize these transactions. I stated softly that Vada did.
Utilizing your credentials. She seized her laptop, her fingers swiftly navigating the keyboard.
An exclusive keyboard to which I alone own access, oh God.
I observed the hue her cheeks drained of color. When did you last update your passwords?
Allison?
6 months ago. When we changed our security protocol.
She researched horror.
And Amir assisted. I set up the new system, using your credentials to move funds into offshore accounts. Documents on the desk pertaining to your brother, his girlfriend. Allison's voice trembled as she inquired.
What are you discussing?
I retrieved my phone to display the photographed text messages.
Apologizing.
Allison. I truly am. She read them with trembling hands.
That son of a.
She abruptly ceased her gaze, realizing they had utilized my credentials, which could lead to potential consequences. I definitely stated that you will not go to jail because you will assist me in stopping this. Bitterness tinged her laughter as she realized they had already transferred the funds, despite not having done so. I smiled. And more crucially, they had not submitted the paperwork for the upcoming quarter's taxes. Documentation necessitating your signature comprehension illuminated her gaze. If I do not sign, their entire facade will fall. I leaned forward. But we require action. To synchronize appropriately. My phone vibrated regarding Samuel's appointment with the board members scheduled for the gathering. At night, everything was in order as Allison observed me responding to messages. That is when they intend to expel you. Is it not? That is their assumption. Presented her with the corporate agreement, although they overlooked this paragraph. And now, due to their creativity, utilizing your credentials, we can demonstrate that they have tarnished the company's name. They will forfeit everything. They muttered that they had already resolved to forfeit everything. I corrected her. They merely did not anticipate that they would bear the consequences. Allison rose and proceeded to the window overlooks the city. What do you require of me at this moment? Nothing. Execute the tax forms as usual. But on the evening of the celebration, I presented her with she took the USB drive in her steady hand, indicating her awareness of when to utilize it. My family, Beth,
and I She had tears in her eyes yet showed unwavering tenacity.
Her voice conveys that you are my sister. The one who truly merits the title.
I contacted Vada again regarding dinner tomorrow to discuss party plans.
Alison was informed that her brother's girlfriend intends to organize a farewell party. Alison responded affirmatively.
They believe everything is satisfactory. I will manage matters on my side as I prepare to depart. I seized Beth's arm,
causing her discomfort, and embraced her firmly. That was the intention. I texted Quinn that everything is arranged. And Quinn responded with Vada's. I have been making inquiries to gather information on you.
Should I be concerned?
Let her investigate. She wrote back that she would not discover anything, nonetheless. I found something quite intriguing in her history indicates that this is not the first company she has attempted to defraud. However,
this will be the final occasion. I entered my vehicle while reviewing my calendar,
noting that there are 2 weeks remaining till.
The celebration occurred 2 weeks before their attempt to undermine me. 2 weeks before their realization. What occurs when one confuses kindness with weakness?
My phone vibrated one final time. Amir is working late again, do not wait up.
I grinned as I typed.
No problem.
Dear.
Sweet dreams, the components were all arranged. Now it was merely a question of anticipating the opportunity to engage in supper with Vada, was an endeavor in she sat across from me at her preferred posh restaurant. Sipping a drink, she was sipping champagne and making party arrangements. As if she were not involved in an affair with my husband. She suggested inviting the full board while swiping through her phone to create a genuine celebration of the occasion. Precisely. I inquired innocently. She gazed upward. Her perfected smile remaining unwavering. Years of service should be acknowledged. And everyone ought to be informed of your contributions. My phone vibrated beneath the Quinn has just received the files from Samuel, you need to review them immediately. Apologies.
I stated that I would take a bathroom break in the privacy of the restroom and called Quinn. Recall our speculation regarding the source of Vada's starting capital. Quinn's voice was Samuel discovered her old business records, which filled him with joy.
Precisely this occurred before she married her business partner,
subsequently attempting to expel him from the organization.
Allow me to surmise that it was successful. The man abruptly disappeared, vanishing one day and leaving everything to her.
The police conducted an investigation but were unable to substantiate any claims. I experienced a sense of foreboding that compelled me to transmit all information.
Alison will know how to handle it. Meanwhile, Vada was typing rapidly on her phone at the table. I caught a peek of Amir's name before she concealed it.
Is everything all right?
I inquired. She signaled the server for more wine and inquired about it. I said casually that some figures in the quarterly reports appear inaccurate. Eliciting her smile.
Flickered briefly, likely inconsequential.
I will have Samuel investigate it. Samuel.
She placed her glass down with excessive force. He has been inquiring extensively.
Recently. I had not seen my phone buzzing again throughout the board meeting with Samuel. Scheduled for tomorrow. They are initiating their action prematurely. Is something amiss? Vada inquired. I stood up, disregarding my reflection. But I must prepare for the significant day ahead.
Her eyes narrowed slightly as I called Samuel immediately outside. He convened an emergency board meeting to ratify his attempt to expedite a vote prior to the party's election.
I grinned into the
phone is prepared. I have just received confirmation from the SEC.
Quinn discovered 3 additional former business partners, all possessing analogous accounts, all prepared to testify.
I entered my vehicle just as I received another message from Amir. Where are you?
We need to converse. I returned home to discover. He paced in our living room, requesting a pleasant meal with a tense voice. Vada expressed her affection, he recoiled. Beth. We must deliberate on the company's matters. In the future. Amusingly. That is just what I intended to express. I seated myself composedly. Feeling bored. There is a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. How did you know? I retrieved my laptop in the same manner as I am aware. I directed the screen towards him, displaying the financial information. Her complexion turned ashen, Those matters are confidential. As is my marriage. Yet that did not deter you. Beth. Save it. I stood up and will see you at the meeting. My phone buzzed as I walked.
Allison has submitted the SEC filings upstairs, everything is prepared. I responded via SMS.
Perfect. What is the status of our other project? The police are highly interested in Vada's history.
I packed a tiny bag while Amir shouted through the door.
As I had no intention of remaining here.
This evening. Quinn awaited at her residence with champagne and takeaway. You should have observed his expression.
I informed her. Settling in.
He assumed I was unaware as he reclined on the couch. Males consistently misjudge us.
She inquired while pouring ample glasses.
What time is the meeting tomorrow?
9 a.m. was the response. Vada believes they have sufficient votes to oust me. But 3 board members are indebted. I prefer large ones, I grinned. And they are rather keen on maintaining their own.
Samuel from Creative Accounting informed me that SEC agents confirmed an appointment for 9:30.
It should be an opportune moment. Quinn raised her glass to Karma. To which I concurred. To consistently retain receipts. I sat on the couch that night while Quinn slept. On her balcony. Observing the city lights. Tomorrow would alter everything.
Amir.
Vada believed they were on the verge of victory.
Unaware they were heading towards their own demise, my phone vibrated.
On one final occasion.
Vada anticipates tomorrow. It is time for some alterations I have composed. Embrace me, it's time to unveil everything.
The components have been arranged. In just 12 hours. We prepared the trap, they would soon realize the true cost of their actions. Deceit. And I would observe their downfall. The boardroom remained silent. Aside from the soft hum of the air conditioning. I occupied my customary seat.
Observing Amir and Vada share assured glances across the table. I believed this was their moment of triumph, nevertheless.
Before we commenced. I stated amiably that I would like to introduce some guests. The door opened. And 2 men in suits entered. Vada inquired about Samuel and Allison. Her smile fading.
Investigators expressed significant interest in our company's financial data.
Amir stood up abruptly. The chair nearly overturned. This meeting is confidential. Please sit down. Mr. Wade. Agents announced the presence of a warrant. Causing the board members to squirm uncomfortably.
Observe the panic manifesting on Vada's face when Samuel commenced distribution.
The folders you are examining. Samuel elucidated. Constitute proof of a systematic approach. Vada retorted that the claims of fraud and embezzlement are absurd. Her hands trembled as she opened the folder. And Allison advanced. Because those transactions were executed using my credentials, which were accessible solely to 2 other individuals.
The color drained from Amir's cheeks.
Allison. What are you doing?
Is this the right course of action?
Ultimately. She addressed the board. Stating that my brother and Miss Jenkins have been embezzling from this company for several months.
Additionally.
I acknowledged Samuel. Who initiated a presentation on the he remarked. This is intriguing. As he navigated through the documents. Miss Jenkins has a notable history of similar circumstances involving 3 prior companies and 3 former partners. All of whom vanished under mysterious conditions. Vada hissed. You cannot substantiate any claims regarding expulsion or disappearance. Yet the board remains unyielding. As members were already whispering amongst themselves. My phone vibrated with a notification from Quinn Police. I have just arrived and am prepared whenever you are. I stated while standing up that we may demonstrate.
Everything.
Especially the affair.
Caused Amir to recoil.
Beth. Could you please preserve it? I turn to you for help.
Article 7.3 of our company agreement stipulates that any partner participating in activities detrimental to the company's reputation may be compelled.
I invoked the clause, nonetheless. Vada stated that you lack the votes. Uncertainty had infiltrated her voice. I glanced around the table at Mr. Phillips,
Miss Rodriguez,
and Mr. Thompson.
Shall we discuss your financial matters?
Irregularities that I consented to disregard in return for your support for the 3 board members I designated. One by one, they straightened their posture, and Samuel approved the motion. It has been announced that Amir Wade and Vada Jenkins are removed effective immediately. Vada exclaimed, getting up. You cannot do this, this is my company.
I no longer nodded to the SEC agents.
And I trust these individuals. I have inquiries on the lost funds, the doors have reopened once more. Police officers entered Miss Jenkins' premises and stated, we require you to accompany us.
I have inquiries on the disappearance of your former business colleague. I saw them escorting Vada away. Amir attempted to pursue,
but Allison obstructed his path. Despite his previously impeccable poise beginning to falter, she said coldly, we're bringing the divorce papers to your workplace. I would sign them promptly if I were you.
Before additional proof emerged, the boardroom rapidly vacated,
leaving me behind, alone with Samuel and Allison. The meeting proceeded favorably. As Samuel remarked while collecting the folders, I responded,
checking my phone, the event is still scheduled for tonight.
You are still involved? Allison incredulously inquired if they desired to have the party. Humiliate me in the presence of our acquaintances, I smiled, as it would be impolite to refuse. As they enjoyed their moment in the spotlight, my phone rang once more regarding Quinn Vada's situation. I have booked it and now wish to view the mug shot. I will save it for the party. I responded to Beth via text. Allison gently inquired,
are you certain about this?
They have already lost everything.
Everything. I looked out the window at the skyline of my city.
They will retain their pride for around 6 more hours. Samuel whistled softly, prompting me to remember never to confront you. Just recall my statement, I am collecting my belongings. Karma does not always operates on its own timetable, occasionally requires a slight impetus. My phone illuminated at one point.
Amir.
We must converse. I previously showed the message to Allison and Samuel. It appears like someone is exhibiting desperation. What actions are you planning to take? Allison requested that I convey. I typed swiftly. See you at the party.
Dear.
Do not be tardy.
I will not want to miss my speech. When we exited the boardroom,
I felt more unburdened than ever. In a few months,
at the party they had organized to ruin me,
everyone would discover the truth. And by tomorrow, I would commence the reconstruction. Fortified, enlightened, and entirely liberated from their shadows. Prepared.
As we arrived at the elevator,
Samuel inquired about tonight. I grinned, indicating my readiness. Throughout my whole life,
the Grand Plaza Hotel ballroom has glimmered with champagne.
Vada had selected the setting weeks prior, intending to host the event with glasses and obligatory smiles.
Instead of celebrating my downfall,
she was spending the evening with the cops. As I adjusted my red dress in the mirror, Quinn stood behind me.
I appeared striking in black. I checked my phone,
but there were no fresh messages. Since Amir's urgent request, everything is prepared, and the displays are ready. Samuel has prepared the presentation, and Allison handed me a champagne flute. I just texted Mir, who is attempting to persuade others that everything is satisfactory. Upon entering the ballroom,
the whispers commenced instantly. The word of the morning's board meeting had not yet disseminated.
Although commonly perceived, some could detect an underlying dissonance, particularly with Vada. Beth Amir raced over, his grin forced, as he was glaringly absent. Please feel free to speak.
Dear. I raised my voice somewhat. Would you like to engage in a discussion?
The embezzlement or the incident initially halted several adjacent conversations. Suddenly,
Amir seized my arm in an attempt to pull me aside,
urging me not to create a disturbance.
He growled,
questioning why not, as it was the purpose of the party. I distanced myself from him.
Vada orchestrated an outstanding performance, as Samuel's voice resonated powerfully.
Attention, please. Through the speakers, the throng directed their gaze towards the little platform where Samuel stood. With the remote control in hand,
He stood as big screens illuminated behind him.
He continued. We're here tonight to celebrate truth and consequences.
And no one better understands individuals than our CEO.
Beth. I approached the stage with a sense of purpose.
Hundreds of eyes tracked my movements. Amir stood motionless in the crowd.
His face pale. I expressed my gratitude to everyone for attending,
stating over the microphone that this gathering was initially intended as my parting celebration. Opportunity for my husband and his paramour to publicly degrade me prior to seizing my company. The gasps were palpable.
Financial data began to surface instead. Let us discuss what Samuel.
Will you kindly proceed with the presentation?
He navigated through the slides. Bank statements,
transfer data,
and emails between Amir and Vada regarding their preparations.
Takeover.
And here is my personal favorite, I remarked, as a police mugshot was displayed.
This screen capture of Vada was captured just hours ago. It appears she possesses quite the. Amir navigated a compelling history of causing business partners to vanish. The crowd ceased. I turned to confront him.
Is this not what you desired from everyone? We have come together to witness a profound revelation. You are destroying everything.
No. Dear.
You accomplished that on your own. I gestured to Quinn, who activated a button on her device.
The phone's screen was inundated with hundreds of text messages exchanged between Amir
and Vada's relationship,
which has persisted for months. Their schemes,
their derision, and their treachery have been exposed. I specifically pointed to a message from Beth for everyone to see. She is oblivious to the fact that she trusts me entirely. That was you.
Correct. Dear?
The throng fell entirely silent as I observed Allison advance from the rear. Tears cascaded down her cheeks as she confronted Amir,
stating,
You utilized my credentials, not your own. Sister, you have implicated me in fraud. Allison.
I can elucidate, reserve it for later. Your attorney severed communication with him. The SEC possesses all necessary information.
I have escalated my concerns.
A champagne glass raised in a toast to truth,
karma, and the importance of never underestimating.
A woman having access to competent attorneys and superior acquaintances altered the screens. Final presentation of the morning's board meeting outcomes, Amir's dismissal and Vada's status.
I requested the cessation of my total authority over business security in a cordial manner. Mr. Wade appears to be struggling to locate the exit, as two guards have emerged. As he moved into the air, he glanced around frantically but discovered no compassion in the throng of astonished visages. You shall not evade the consequences,
he growled as they had previously approached the situation.
I smiled and informed you that I have changed the locks at home. Your belongings are in storage. The address is specified in the divorce documents.
As he was released,
the ballroom erupted in conversation.
Quinn approached me with a new glass of champagne,
which he claimed was for the celebration. Recall that my phone vibrated. Samuel.
The police need to ascertain if you will provide testimony regarding this matter.
Vada's previous actions indicate that I would be pleased to respond. I sent back the screens. Return to their sophisticated party arrangements, however. The harm had been inflicted on every individual present. The chamber had observed the decline of Air and Vada, along with every commercial connection. Quinn inquired softly.
Was it worth it to befriend every potential ally? I observed as Allison embraced Samuel. Both seemed relieved and fatigued.
Tomorrow, I responded, elevating my glass. Tonight we celebrate. The festivities persisted. However,
it was no longer a farewell. It marked a beginning the morning after the party. I entered my office to discover it already occupied. Amir was seated in my chair,
appearing disheveled in yesterday's suit. I reported a security breach in the executive suite.
Transfer the backup to my phone. He raised his hands,
indicating 5 minutes, nothing more. I am inquiring if you have to. I remained by the door, hand on the handle. Commencing now. Desperately, he implored. Cancel everything, the board, the funds, all of it.
I reviewed the SEC's intriguing offer while monitoring the timing of Vada's preliminary hearing.
Commences in 1 hour, his expression contorted. You fail to comprehend if they excavate excessively. They will uncover what transpired with her other lovers as I retrieved my phone.
Presenting him with an email belatedly, the probe has already established connections.
She claimed they departed voluntarily. And you accepted her assertion. She chuckled as if she trusted you when you claimed you would manage my security.
Amir stood in the doorway,
adjusting his jacket with trembling hands, exclaiming, "You've ruined everything."
He asserted that he had survived everything,
a distinction he made as they released him from custody, including my phone. Quinn, excited, instructed me to turn on the news, and I switched on the office television just in time to
observe Vada entering the courthouse,
her elegant attire substituted with prison orange. As the headline scrolls below,
Tech CEO detained after various fraud investigations initiated by Samuel.
I am currently watching it. Have you seen it without knocking? Not that he delivered it to me? This tablet has just arrived from the forensic accountants. I have scanned it.
Document my breath seizing. Is this verified and thoroughly checked?
They did not merely. They were orchestrating a scheme for you to be blamed for everything while stealing from the corporation. My phone rang. Allison. Are you? I am observing the news more effectively while perusing the forensic study.
Were you aware of their findings?
I intended to implicate you. But her voice faltered when I discovered something more. Recall this. The partner of Vardas, who had vanished, has been located. I sat down abruptly. Alive?
No. Amir's fingerprints are present on all the evidence as the office door reopened.
Quinn, appearing somber, stated that the police have arrived and wish to speak with you.
Regarding Amir. I placed Allison on speakerphone. Did you hear her say that I am en route?
Refrain from speaking until my arrival. 2 detectives have entered my office.
Their expressions are,
Miss Wade, we must address the location of your ex-husband 3 years prior, as I have updated my lawyer.
Before proceeding, you may wish to examine the initial photograph that the detective placed before me. The desk indicated that Amir and Vada had a romantic relationship 3 years prior to my acquaintance with either of them. They were standing over a man I recognized from the missing persons reports.
And they were working together. Subsequently,
Samuel mumbled as my phone vibrated with a message from an unidentified number.
Consider inquiring with your friend Quinn regarding the evening of James's disappearance. Upon revealing the note to Quinn, her complexion drained of color as she exclaimed, "James was my brother.
He discreetly vanished after examining a technology firm,
which I was unaware of until I saw Vada's photograph in your possession." The corporation submitted the documents, and with Quinn's assistance and her persistence, everything fell into place. Competence in detecting financial fraud. It was not solely friendship motivating her. Why did you not inform me? As I required evidence? She removed her tears. And now
The investigators documented everything as Quinn provided a comprehensive explanation.
Upon Allison's arrival,
sufficient evidence was gathered to apprehend both Amir and Vada for murder.
It's finished, Allison remarked as the investigators departed.
Truly over,
she added, looking at her phone. Buzzed one last time. The board of Samuel is seeking a meeting to discuss the acquisition. The company does not provide any offers.
I responded via SMS.
Quinn stroked my arm. What should I do now? I surveyed my office.
Observing Samuel's anxious expression and Allison's tears, Quinn's years of concealed anguish must now be addressed. I stated that we will rebuild.
But first,
we must ensure justice has been served. My phone illuminated with news alerts regarding Amir. Vada was apprehended while attempting to escape the country and was working with authorities. Karma Quinn softly stated that she relied on him for her salvation.
I responded, no. Justice. It is not. I completed my task and then picked up my phone to contact the district attorney. The moment had arrived to ensure that each of their victims attained closure, beginning with Quinn's brother. As the sun sank over the metropolitan skyline will adorn my office in hues of gold and shadow tomorrow. Provide new obstacles, but this evening, I am observing Air and Vada's mugshots. News,
I finally experienced a sensation I had not felt in months, tranquility, as the courtroom descended into silence.
As the judge entered, I remained mute, seated between Quinn and Allison, our hands linked together as we awaited the verdict. Vada's costly attorney shuffled uneasily across the aisle. In the case of the state versus Vada Jenkins, the judge commenced proceedings.
The count of first-degree murder. Quinn's grip on my palm tightened,
indicating guilt.
The word reverberated across the courtroom as Vada in the first row folded her arms. The facade ultimately disintegrating entirely due to allegations of fraud and embezzlement. Every guilty utterance was like laying another block removed from my shoulders as they escorted Vada away.
She turned to scowl at me. "This is not finished," she said. "In fact, it is." Quinn rose, her voice firm.
Outside the courthouse,
reporters inundated us, while James remained composed.
Amir's plea deal has just been finalized. As he navigated past the crowd, he stated as we approached the vehicle that he is providing testimony against their entire network. Numerous jurisdictions are involved. My phone vibrated with a news alert, depicting Amir being escorted into another courthouse.
Head bowed, finally gazing as the broken man he was.
"The company's stock has risen by 15%.
Allison remarked while checking. The market favors a narrative of justice, as exemplified by Justice Quinn's involvement.
The insurance company has finally settled James's case,
establishing a scholarship in his name for fraud." Investigators elicited a smile from me. I was delighted to discover a package awaiting me on my desk upon returning to the office.
Inside was a framed newspaper story titled "Tech CEO Dismantles Criminal Enterprise. Justice Delivered a Small Present."
Samuel remarked from the doorway, "Believing it was necessary for all of you. Updating, it is great. I have hung it next to my degrees. Although we are not yet finished. I completed the foundation." Quinn entered with coffee, and I nodded at James.
The Quinn Foundation for Corporate Accountability utilizes its resources to assist other victims of corporate deception,
utilizing their confiscated riches to finance it, Allison stated. "Joining us is poetic justice." My phone displayed a message from the district attorney, 5 additional victims identified.
The evidence was pivotal. Samuel said that most individuals would merely take pleasure in it. Most individuals lack direct exposure to the actions of corporate predators during their victory. I glanced at Quinn.
"I had lost my family to them," the intercom chimed, signaling to my assistant that the new board members were present for orientation. I instructed them to proceed. I then turned to my staff.
Prepared to construct something superior, they acquiesced.
And we observed as the new board entered in its whole. All women, experts in business ethics and accountability, are welcomed, I stated. "Let us." As the meeting commenced, my phone vibrated one final time. "Miss Jenkins, the jail warden, sought a meeting," I replied negatively. "She is truly at her best." Quinn met my gaze across the meeting table and grinned. We had both discovered other new board members attentively listened as I discussed closure, justice, and peace. I explained that our goal encompasses not only profit but also purpose, and not just success but also integrity. I informed them that we founded this corporation on deception, not just for profit, but also for justice. "We will reconstruct it on truth." Outside my office window in the city stretched out before us, replete with options and opportunities. Likely additional predators akin to Amir and Vada. But we were now prepared for them. New beginnings. Allison raised her coffee cup to welcome Justice Quinn into the family. Samuel gazed at all of them while I surveyed the individuals who had transformed into more than just friends. My colleagues were my genuine family, created in adversity and honesty. Karma does not occur spontaneously, it often requires assistance from individuals who are not involved. Reluctant to advocate for justice, the discussion commenced earnestly with plans underway. Construct a future predicated on integrity rather than fraud. Outside the city thrived with vitality and potential. Enveloped by my selected kin, I ultimately experienced fulfillment not due to revenge, although that had been gratifying, nor because of victory, which was essential,
But because we transformed our suffering into purpose and our betrayal into transforming our loss into a legacy was the ultimate form of retribution.